I think, yeah, last year was pretty crazy going from around 20 people to 65-ish. And then this year, we'll be kind of shoring up that growth, I would say, and just like getting everything really solid. Our goals for this year, like deliver unbelievable customer magic. So how do we just show up and surprise and delight people in kind of new and novel ways, which again is more like community and brand driven than like direct ROI driven.
Yeah. Do you worry about the scalability of that in any way? I think it's awesome. I think it's exactly what people are craving, is more of this connection to brands that they might be working with or buying from. My view is it almost creates some sort of like exclusivity, like a club that, because it's not scalable or like something I can, necessarily join from at home on my laptop, whatever it might be, that it kind of creates this almost exclusivity that I want to be a part of and I'm curious. But yeah, does it worry you about scale at this point, given, the journey that you guys are at and the point?
I think it doesn't worry me. It's more like that's the fun challenge of it is that. So I get a belief within Tracksuit is that, like, if that's how we win, then we have to figure out how to make that scale. And maybe it doesn't scale and you actually have to figure out how to roll it out globally in a non-scalable manner. And we talk a lot about how software as a service has been around for a long time. And for the last 20 years, people have been figuring out how to optimize and like increase margin, incrementally every month and just like get it a little bit better and neater. And Tracksuit's lucky that we have really good product market fit. So like we can push the boundaries possibly a little bit and be rewarded for that. Or even, if we mess up, it's not disastrous. We can sort of come back from that experiment and be okay. So recognizing that, but I guess like, let's not be the normal SaaS company that's just fine tuning to make everything as scalable and as repeatable as possible. Let's do a bunch of stuff that isn't repeatable, that isn't scalable. Like, I don't know, one of our first customers in the US was Rowan Performance Wear. And Matt and I, when we were in the state, we flew there for a week, had a bunch of meetings, and we noticed that Rowan were doing like a mental health 5K in the middle of New York. So we like decked ourselves out. We didn't even tell them, but we just showed up. We decked ourselves out in Rowan gear, and then we like did the mental health 5K, and it just randomly turned out that the two founders were there, and we ended up having this great connection with two founders of one of our early customers, and just I guess like that was such good validation for us. It was like, oh yes, this was kind of a weird little risk that we took, and we spent $300 on, I mean, they're amazing clothes. I still wear them, but like sort of like unnecessary, non-scalable work that turned into something magical.
You definitely have that entrepreneur's kind of mind. And, what I think you've shared with us there is a couple of those good examples. When others have zigged, you guys zag, right? Any other of those kind of zags that you feel have really worked for you guys?
Yeah, acting in a non-scalable way is very counterintuitive. And, and I think, yeah, like, maybe just assume that there are, I think the pressure often comes from investors, like for consumer brands and for B2B brands, that you're saying like, oh, we need to like not do anything crazy. But I honestly think that some investors are kind of looking for that as well. They're looking for people that want to stand out. They're looking for brand. And so, yeah, I would encourage others to have a go earlier than they might think is reasonable.
Nice. I think outside of, awareness and some of the brand measures that you have, deployed yourselves, is there, as you've built the business over 3 years, there's so many other facets that you've probably learned along the way, from teams, people, operations. What have been, some of those key lessons or things that have surprised you as you built out the company? And I know you've been very active in building companies before, but has Tracksuit been any different?
I think focus has played the biggest role in the speed of Tracksuit. And the speed of Tracksuit is, I think, what sets us apart in terms of like how fast we acquire customers, how fast we get them onboarded. And it ends up being what has maybe made investors interested, or even like what makes talent and other people want to come join Tracksuit is the momentum is very exciting. And all of that, I think, comes down to focus. And, your B2B question, like, yeah, 20 something % of our inbound is B2B. And we say no like every day to people who want to buy a tracksuit. And, that's been the case from day one. And Matt and I just like, sitting there being like, oh my God, we should do B2B, we should do it. And then it's like, no, focus. So we've always, had lots of hard conversations where we put all the opportunities in front of us and we just like put basically all of them to the side. And that's allowed us to move fast, to stay focused. It's allowed the team to feel, that wonderful feeling of momentum, which just like kind of buoys startups through any hard times. Of course, which there are lots for everybody, but if you have momentum, it kind of carries you through.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think being a brand that really invests in or is excited by new opportunity, right, and wanting to be adaptable, to pivot fast, it can get chaotic very quickly if there aren't those boundaries. And so I think a really key point that you've raised is, as much as you think about the choices you want to make in the next year as a business, what are those choices that you're going to, what are those things you're not going to do as a business, are just as important to give that little bit of rigor that is still needed even for brands that move fast and, want to be adaptable. I think it's a very hard balance, that focus, and then also seeing the opportunity and when is the right timing to pivot or maybe go down a new direction.
Our board's favorite slide in our like board pack is they have an on the table and off the table slide. And like there's a bunch of stuff that we have talked about that's super promising and like ROI positive that we put into that off the table box. And it's like, it's really hard to drag them over there. You're like, oh no, but it helps. It helps so much. So yeah, I completely agree.